mechanism. This is what I call the wall. People hide behind their walls and protect their vulnerabilities. You want to learn how to slowly lower your wall, to open yourself up to other people. Also, how to lower other people's built-in walls. This is the first step to flirting.
You are going to learn how to flirt. But before we do that, we're going to shatter the myths and generalizations that society has placed on flirtation for so many years. I'm going to teach you how to flirt, how to realize when someone's flirting with you, how to realize when you're flirting with someone and you're not even aware of it. We're going to cover everything from getting out of a situation that you don't particularly care to be in, to the nonverbal signals. Nonverbal signals before you even approach someone. And we're going to cover the perfect lines. Is there such a thing as a perfect line? Well, I've developed a formula that's better than a perfect line. It will show you how to break the ice with someone, continue on the conversation with anyone, any place, anytime. It will show you how to lower the risk factor and eliminate the chance of outright rejection.
Catherine Brown, personal communications specialist, will give you the techniques and insights she has gained from years of instructing thousands of adults in the art and science of flirting. With the use of vignettes, live presentations, and direct personal insight, Kathy will bring out the natural flirt in you.
Before we get into the nonverbal and verbal aspects of flirtation, or even how to get out of a situation we're not exactly crazy about being in, let's deal with the myths and generalizations. Let's find out what flirting really isn't. For example, take that unsuspecting gentleman over there. Watch this. Hey, how big boy, how you doing?
Okay, how are you?
Oh, what's your name? Oh, are you cute?
Yeah, Kevin.
Tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah,
Not
thanks.
bad. So what are you doing here?
Trying to look at the art.
Oh, looking at the art. Oh, yeah. Let's look at the art. If you think this is flirting, you're crazy. What we want to get into is the difference between superficial flirting and depth of intimate flirtation. Superficial flirting is the idea of playing with the tie, or it's the idea of the girl flipping her hair back and looking at the guy and saying, you know, what are you doing tonight? That type of thing. That's an extreme of superficial. And what it does is more often scares the person away than brings them closer to you. What you really want to do is you want to slowly get a better depth of intimate flirtation. The more you want to get to know the individual, the more you become intimate flirters. Like, for instance, superficial flirting. A salesperson goes up to a person, Lou, that's a really nice pink shirt. It's really pretty. And then what I'm doing is I'm giving her a complimentary stroke. And it doesn't really go any farther than that. It just continues on. And what we're trying to do is when you want to get to know somebody as an individual, you're not really dealing with, you know, you have a nice tie, you have a nice shirt. You're dealing with the individual, how he thinks, how she thinks, or, you know, what her ideas are, that type of thing. Really getting into the flirtation of the individual. Any quality you talk about, good or bad, I can find just as many women that have that as men. So we really have to look at this whole situation as, forget the generalizations, forget all the things that you heard about men or you heard about women, and really look at each individual as a unique human being, and the fact that every one of you are going to be different somehow. So when you go up to start up a conversation, don't think of them, oh my God, that's a woman, or oh, that's a man. What am I going to do? You know, they're different. They're not different. They're the same way we are, you know, the same way we all are. So it's just getting enough courage to walk up there and forget all the things you've heard about and take that extra step. It's not any easier for men than it is for women to put themselves in a situation to meet others. Women have to learn from the men how to be a little bit more direct. Not aggressive, but just assertive. And men have to learn from the women how to be a little bit more indirect and not put themselves on the line so easily. It's a 50-50 deal. Now that we've shattered those myths, we'd like to learn how to read the nonverbal signs. This is what I call the okay signals.
Without eye contact, there is no flirtation. The next step, a genuine smile.
Now that we've had the eye contact and the smile, what's the very next thing you usually do? Mary?
I have a tendency to look away, and then I find it extremely difficult to look back.
How about you, Barb?
I look away, but then I look back.
Okay. All right. How about Kevin?
Well, usually I look away and then order another couple drinks or something.
All right, the interesting thing about that is most of the time, people do look away. Men and women will look away for just a second. They're either looking away and saying, well, can't be looking at me, it's got to be somebody else, especially if you're interested in the person. If you're interested in the person, they can't be looking at you. If you're not interested, it's possible, but not if you're interested. So you usually look away just to make sure it's not anybody else, or just on an instinct level, kind of like a defense, you look away for a second, get your act together, and look back again. So what we really have to realize is when someone looks away, that doesn't mean it's over. That doesn't mean that they're not interested in you. That just means that you got to give them a few seconds because you're kind of entering into their space. Just for eye contact alone, just by looking at somebody, you kind of like, whoa, and you look away for just a minute just to see, you know, get your act together. So it's not as much for you to know, for you to look away. You know, you don't want to play the games and say, well, now I'm going to look away, and now I'm not. But just to be aware, if somebody does look away, it's natural. Just let them do it, but keep looking at them and make sure that they will most likely look back again. Or like Tarita said, you kind of sneak back. You know, the last thing you want to do is let them know that you're looking back at them. I mean, that would be awful. You might even get together sometime, you know? But, I mean, that's the hysterical part about it. The eye contact, the smile, looking away, looking back again. The majority of people, we do this all the time. It's just kind of like an instinct that, you know, you kind of look away for a second, get your defense level back up, and then look back again. So once that happens, what usually happens? You just sit there and you just wait, or is that enough to carry you all the way over to start up a conversation with somebody? Kevin, would you?
Usually I'm a couple drinks down the road by that time.
Okay. The next thing, all right, you've got the eye contact, you've got the smile. You're looking back again. You're still looking at each other, but yet it's just not enough okay signals to walk all the way over to this person and start up a conversation. So what you want to do is you want to look at what they're doing and they don't realize they're doing it. It's amazing. If you're interested in somebody and you're looking at them and they're looking at you, it's a very uncomfortable situation. It's kind of like, I don't really like this. You know, I don't know why I don't like this, but I don't like this, okay? And what you usually do is maybe if you wear glasses, you'll kind of fix your glasses. Or you'll play with your earring. You'll do whatever happens to be vulnerable. If you're the type of person that has long hair or just your bangs get in your face, you kind of, you know, get the bangs out of the face. And many times you'll get this type of flirtation where they think, oh, well, you know, she's giving a flirtatious look. But it's really just kind of like, oh my gosh, do I look all right? You know, is my earring in place? Or the guys, is my watch on? You know, I haven't checked it in 5 days, but is it there? It's kind of like a vulnerability. You want to go and go back to whatever makes you feel safe. And you don't really realize why yet. And that's why you can really believe it. Like when I've gone up and asked people, you know, why did you fix your glasses? Or why did you go for your watch? I'm just curious. They'd say, I never did that. You're crazy. I never did that. I said, yes, you did. I was just curious, just making a little survey. And most of them don't even realize they did it. And that's because of this uncomfortable situation. Their body is telling them, get comfortable. Or they'll sit differently. All of a sudden, they'll cross their legs, or they'll uncross their legs. They're trying to get in a situation where they feel comfortable. So when you see somebody's doing that, somebody that you've been looking at and smiling at, you can be pretty sure that they're interested. And maybe that'll be enough for you to walk over there and start up a conversation. But if it's not quite enough to really have you start up a conversation, there's another way. The classic women's way, all right? It's called the washroom, you see. What happens so many times is if the washroom is right here, the girl will go all the way around the room to get to the washroom. And naturally, going around the room to pass this guy up, like if it was Leroy, if I was interested in Leroy, and the washroom was over there, I would walk all the way around the room to get to the washroom. But when I pass him, now naturally you think if you passed him, you'd look at him, but I don't want to look at him. If I look at him, I mean, I could be rejected. I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to pass him and hope that he kind of like, Kath, you know, what's your name? Whatever. But so I'm not going to look at him because I don't want to be rejected, but at the same time, he's looking at me and saying, if she looks at me, then I'll do something. Then I'll know that she's interested. And that's the problem. We're both giving these signals off you know, men are giving signals and women are giving signals, but we're all reading the wrong ones. The next time you see somebody go the long way to the washroom, twice maybe, and back, this is not a coincidence. If all of a sudden you've had eye contact with somebody, you've had a smile, and then you see this person just by coincidence walking past you, it's not a coincidence. They planned it. And the same interesting fact about all of a sudden you go over to get a drink or hors d'oeuvres, and to your surprise, that same person is there that you had the eye contact with or you had the smile with. This is a planned situation. You both want to say, well, it's a coincidence, because that would make it easy. Then you don't have to deal with the fact there might be somebody that would really be interested in you. So you kind of pass it off. But what they're doing is that's their nonverbal signal telling you that they're interested. And women, you know, they're so good at doing these indirect moves that if the guys don't realize and are not aware of the moves, you're never going to get to know each other, because of the fact that you didn't use these nonverbal signals, these okay signals. You don't have to have the courage to walk all the way up to the girl or the guy and start up a conversation. But you can use these nonverbal okay signals, the eye contact, the smile, you know, the little genuine movement, playing with the glasses or the nose, or, you know, playing with the watch. They're more genuine than, I mean, you really can't fake those because they don't really realize they're doing it. If you do it on purpose, it just doesn't come off the same way. It just doesn't seem to be as real. But if you do these nonverbal signals and you've got 7 or 8, can you imagine how much more comfortable you'd feel by the time you walked up to this person? You'd feel like, you know, old home week, like you really knew them. Okay, so eye contact, smile. You know, walk halfway up. You know, see if you walk halfway over possibly, and that other person's still looking at you. Would they be still looking at you if they were not interested? Of course not. Who's going to follow somebody around they're not interested in? Nobody. You just don't do that. But it's a natural thing to follow with eye contact, follow someone you are interested in. So if you walk halfway around the room, way over here, and if I'm interested in Ernest, and Ernest is still looking at me, I can be darn sure Ernest is interested, or would at least be interested in starting up a conversation and seeing where it would go from there. So we don't have two choices anymore. You know, we don't have, you can either sit there or walk over and start up a conversation for the men. And for the women, we can be a little bit more direct. If, let's say, we walk halfway over and it doesn't work, we can take it one step farther. Or like if you're the type of person that'll sit there and, you know, look away and not look back again, then that's what you have to do. You have to start there. Step 1. You have to look back again. And if you can look back again and you go home that night saying, I'll look back again, that's fantastic. Because the next night you go out and the next time you look back again, but you're used to that. So maybe you notice some signals, him playing with his glasses or her, you know, playing with her earrings. And maybe you walk halfway up. You see, sooner or later, step by step, you're going to get there, and you're going to get in a habit. And it's going to be, you're going to have a lot more possibilities of meeting people. If you just take it step by step, sooner or later, you're going to get to the point where you will walk up to somebody and start up a conversation. And if you're the type that maybe walks up to everybody all the time, no problem, walk up, start up a conversation. But for some reason, you know, 9 out of 10 times, it just doesn't seem to work. You know, you start up a conversation, but it never gets any farther. What's wrong with it? Well, maybe you should back it up a little bit. Maybe you should back it up a little bit and say, hey, let's get some eye contact, let's get some smile. Let's use these indirect signals, and if I'm going to be rejected beforehand, maybe I won't have to go that far and put myself on the line. You know, why take a 50-50 chance if you can really find out non-verbally if he or she is interested? We see how these non-verbal okay signals help us learn the hidden thoughts and intentions of others, as well as our own. We gain confidence with this knowledge, the knowledge that the other person is interested in you too. But now, the age-old problem, what to say. The icebreaker, the perfect line. Is there such a thing as a perfect line? I have something better, the formula. Well, let's imagine ourselves walking down Michigan Avenue in Chicago, and you see somebody extremely interesting, good-looking stranger you'd like to get to know. What are you going to do? If you go up to them and say, excuse me, my name's Kathy, what's your name? They're going to look at you like, who are you? Get away from me, type of thing. So what you want to do is you want to subtly start up a conversation. And how do you do that? You use the formula. Now this formula is a very subtle way of slowly breaking down the wall and getting this person to kind of open up to you so you can continue on a conversation with them. All right? So what you're going to do, first of all, is you have to find a common ground. Now, what kind of common ground could be on Michigan Avenue? Anybody? All right. How about Michigan Avenue? Okay. You're on Michigan Avenue. You're walking down the street. You use the common ground Michigan Avenue, and then you ask a question, a non-threatening, genuine question about Michigan Avenue. Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to Wackerin State? Oh, sure. Go 2 blocks down, make a left, and go 1 more block. Thank you very much. End of flirtation. He left. I'm standing here. All right? So, I forgot the most important part of this formula, and that's the third part, and it's give something of yourself. You've got to give to get. So what you want to do is, number 1, common ground, Michigan Avenue. Number 2, ask a question. Excuse me, could you tell me how to get to Wackerin State? And thirdly, and most importantly, you want to give something of yourself. I just got transferred down here, and I don't know the area. So it's, excuse me, could you tell me how to get to Wackerin State? I just got transferred down here, and I don't know the area. And what you're doing is, see, if you go up to a stranger, they're going to have a wall up, like we talked about before. We want to slowly let down that wall. Well, you don't want to come up and say something about the person, like, excuse me, I like your tie. You know, it's too, you're confronting a complete stranger. He's like taken back. You don't want to do that. What you want to do is use a third party. You don't want to use him or me. You want to use something else. So that's the common ground, Michigan Avenue. And then the unthreatening question, ask about the common ground. Could you tell me how to get to Wackerin State? And then most importantly, you want to give them some little tidbit about yourself. I just got transferred down here and I don't know the area. And what it does is, while they're thinking of the question, they have to let down their wall just a little bit. See, any courteous person will help somebody out. And if they don't, you don't want to get to know them anyway. Okay, so forget it. So if you really want to start up a conversation, you've got to first lower their wall, subtly. And then you put some information about, and while they're thinking about answering that question, at the same time, they're hearing what you're telling them. And they're becoming more curious. Oh, she just moved, did she just move in Chicago? Or did she just change jobs? Or what? All these questions go, I would really like to get to know this person. She seems kind of nice. Or he seems really nice. So what you do is you're implanting some information that if they want to continue on that conversation, they can. They can ask a question. Oh, well, where are you from? Or where did you used to work? Oh, you've never worked in Chicago before. And they can continue it on. But the thing is, you can't force somebody to flirt with you. It's impossible. They just won't do it. You can't flirt with somebody. You have to, it's a 50-50 deal. If they choose to flirt with you, fine. So you can give them an option. You can give them something to use if they want to talk back, if they want to continue on the conversation. And that's what it is, the formula, common ground. Ask a question, give something of yourself. Excuse me, could you tell me where Wackerin State is? I just got transferred down here and I don't know the area. Oh, well, you go 2 blocks down and make a left and go 2 more blocks. Oh, were you new in town? Oh, yeah, well, I just started at the insurance company. Well, I work at the IBM company right around the corner. Oh, that's interesting. Have you ever tried the Chinese restaurant down the street? No, it's my first day. Oh, I forgot. Well, how about we get together? Maybe I can show you one of the restaurants. Now, that's rather fast, I must say. A little fast, okay? But that's the general idea. The idea is what we're doing is you're giving somebody the option. And remember the reason for the formula. The common ground is using a third party, not being so intimate as to say, I like your shirt or I like your dress. That's too intimate. That's too close. So you want to use a third party. And that's a common ground. And the common ground's simple. Where are you? A bar? It's a bar. A bus? It's a bus. A train? It's a train. Wherever it happens to be, just a simple question. And then, from there, asking an unthreatening question, they kind of relax, the wall goes down, and they're ready. They're ready, and they're listening, and they're ready to answer your question. They hear this interesting tidbit about yourself, and they have questions. Oh, well, where did you come from? Where did you work before? Oh, you haven't been here in about a year in this bar? Did you move? Well, yeah, I moved out to the suburbs. I kind of like it out there, but I kind of miss the old place. See, you can continue on the conversation. Another example, a grocery store. Now, a grocery store, again, Michigan Avenue, very general common ground. You know, you really don't have much with Michigan Avenue. Grocery store, pretty much the same way. A general question, you know, everybody goes to a grocery store. The common ground is, you know, natural. So what you do is say, excuse me, could you tell me what type of wine to use with Italian food? I'm having some people over for dinner, and because I just moved in the neighborhood and I don't really know wine that well. Oh, sure, you know, the red wine goes with Italian food, and I can show you some good wine. Now, right there is using the wine, there's a little bit more you can talk about wine to get you going. If you say, where are the apples? You know, do you know a good apple when you see one, okay? All right, this is a little ridiculous. You can't really go that far with that. You can't continue on a conversation about what row is something in. But if you go a little bit farther, like wine, or if you happen to see a roast, you know, I've always wanted to cook a roast. I have no idea how. Would you mind terribly? You know, how do you do this? You know, I live by myself now. I used to have a roommate, and now, you know, I'm trying to cook some stuff up by myself. You know, could you give me a little hint? Okay? And the thing is, it is a risk. You do have to take a risk when you walk up to somebody. But again, you can ask a question, and it's so unthreatening. And they can answer the question, and if they choose to continue on the conversation, they can. Because you've given them some ammo, you've given them some information about yourself. So they can, you know, continue it on if they want. And that's what's so important. Now, common ground was the grocery store. Question was about the wine, which is in the grocery store. And a little bit about yourself, you just moved in the neighborhood. Oh, where does she live? I wonder if she lives close to me. I wonder if she lives around the corner. I wonder if I'll ever see her again. All these questions, just by giving them a little touch of information about yourself and giving them time to kind of think it over. And then again, if they choose to continue on the conversation, they have the option, they have the information, they have everything they need. A little courage they might need, but the problem is when you go up to somebody and say, hi, my name's Kathy. What's yours?
Melvin.
Melvin? And then what do you say? I've left it in his lap. What are you going to do about it, Melvin? Say something to me. You know, and all of a sudden he's like, what do I say? Okay? Makes it very difficult. So what we would like to do is, remember, using this common ground, once you've used, the common ground is an icebreaker. It's something to continue on the conversation, just to start the conversation, not to continue with it. You cannot continue about Michigan Avenue. You cannot continue talking about the grocery store. Very boring. Okay? Wine, you can go a little longer. Remember, it's so important. Use the common ground. Ask a question. Give something of yourself. You got to give to get. If you're waiting for them to come to you, forget it. You'll be waiting all night, all year. Go for it.
With practice, you'll be able to start a conversation like it's second nature. But with this success, you may occasionally find yourself in a very uncomfortable situation.
We've all talked about how to get into a situation that we would like to be. Now, how do you get out of a situation? You're talking to somebody for 5-10 minutes, and all of a sudden you realize the last thing you want to be is here talking to this person. How do you get out of a situation without really hurting anybody? What you want to do, really, is you want to be a little bit more genuine. Nobody really wants to hurt anybody's feelings. But what we could do, and would really work, is number one, say thank you. I really enjoyed talking with you. You've complimented them. And then say, I'm going to get going now. Or, thank you very much. I really enjoyed talking with you. I'm going to go meet some other people. You're being honest. You're being genuine. You've complimented the person, and you've been tactful. See, the thing is, everybody cares so much about being careful not to hurt anybody's feelings that it ends up going a lot longer than you would expect it. Like the dodging game out of the washroom, you know? Or, you know, how many times, like we say, you know, can I have your number? And you say, well, thank you, but no thank you. Oh, let me have your number, we can call sometime. So what you do is you give it away, never intending on calling, and that person keeps calling 3-4 times. Hello, you're busy this weekend? You're busy? Oh, okay. Finally, the 3rd, 4th time, they get the message. Or you ask for their number to get out of a situation. And then the girl's sitting there waiting by the phone, hoping that, or maybe they went home that night thinking, I met the nicest person. And if it wasn't for you, if you could have just been a little bit more forward and said, thank you very much, I really enjoyed talking with you, but I'm going to meet some other people. No, I'd rather not give you the phone number, but thank you anyway. If you'd only said, maybe they would go on and would have met somebody else. So you really have to realize, and if somebody pushes, you know, the second time, well, let me have your phone number and I can give you a call. That's fine. And you say, well, thank you, but no thank you. The third time, tell them where to go. They deserve it. They're not respecting your space. You don't have to worry about theirs. And that's what's really, and the same thing with saying thank you. I really enjoyed talking with you. I'm going to get going now. You've thanked them. You've complimented them. You've tactfully told them that you'd rather go meet somebody else. And if they can't handle it, maybe they can learn.
Once again, without eye contact, you have no flirtation. The next response is a smile. If they don't smile, they look away. Wait a few minutes, they'll probably look back again. And once you have that look again, use the nonverbal signals. Walk halfway over and see if you're still having eye contact. Walk over to get a drink, maybe they'll meet you there. Go over to the hors d'oeuvre table, maybe they'll meet you there. Once you have enough okay signals to feel comfortable, then walk up to them with that common ground in mind. Ask a question about that common ground, and most importantly, give something of yourself. You have to give to get. And then you can find the more personal common ground. Once you've done that, you practice this over and over again until you become very natural with it. Put yourself in a situation where there's a built-in common ground, a place where you can feel comfortable, be it a dance class or a business seminar, where you can be open and make friends. You know, friends have friends. And don't worry about finding that love of your life. But when you do, don't worry about what do I look like? What am I going to say? I. Realize that they're just as nervous as you are. Now let's think about everything we talked about. Where are you? What stage are you at? Are you the type of person that looks and smiles and looks away and never looks back again? Well, that's where you should start. But if you're the type of person that'll walk up, start up a conversation, and for some reason you can never continue on that conversation, then maybe you could take a few steps back and start off with the formula, and then see what happens. See, it's a step-by-step approach. Start with the step that you're at. Don't worry about 2, 3, and 4. Worry about 1. And you have to try that. The next time you go out, give it a try. See, if you don't try, you're wasting your time listening to this. Find out what step you're at, and try that step for you.
When I first met you, I had